The purpose of this video is to demonstrate dimensioning and annotation using the bracket design. Okay, so we'll get started using Imperial. I'm going to type in D settings. Okay, and leave my snap spacing at 0.5. Grid spacing is 1. And turn snap on and grid on. Click OK. Confirm they're on down below. And then I've got a whole bunch of layers to set up. Okay, so I'm going to click on Layer Properties. And your window may appear somewhere else in your screen, but you can undock it or dock it to the side if you prefer. Now I'm going to set up a new layer. Call it Construction. I'm going to change my color to gray, and I think it indicates 9. Okay, my line type is continuous, and my line weight is default. Okay, next up, object lines. I'll go through the first two. Object lines. Okay, the object lines are blue. Continuous line type, and has a line weight of 0.6 millimeters. Okay, I'm going to scroll down a little bit thicker for this one. Okay, there we are. Okay, so I'll pause the video here and set up the rest of my layers as indicated in the lesson note, and then continue on. In setting up the hidden lines, I noticed that when I open up my line type box, so if I click on line type, I get continuous, but I don't have any other ones. So I'm going to click on load, and then I can scroll down and find hidden. There we are. Okay, so if I click OK, it's going to load in the hidden type, and now I can click on that, click OK. Okay, my line weight for hidden, 0.3. I'll finish this one up. And then we're all set. Okay, so I'll continue on with the rest. Alright, I've got my layers set up. So I had to load in phantom, hidden, center. Okay, so make sure you get those loaded in okay, and then double check to make sure your settings are okay. I can delete my default, because I'm not going to use that. Layer not deleted, layer 0, so that the default one can't be deleted. So that's okay if it's still there. Alright, so now I can close up my layer settings. Okay, I still have access to them up top. Next, I'm going to choose my line weight option. Okay, so I can turn on line weight. You'll notice down below a new indicator shows up. Okay, so as I'm drawing, my line weight will appear either as a default, like basic simple line that we've had so far, or will actually show the new weight that we chose in the layer settings. Okay, so this is handy if we actually want to see the precision components without the thicker lines being in the way. Now I'm going to start creating my construction lines. Construction lines are used to kind of allow you to quickly create an object without having to use dimensions for every single component. Okay, so I'm going to choose my construction line or construction layer, so I can turn them off layer. Zoom out so I can see the point of origin, and then I'm going to start creating a new line, or sorry, a new construction line. So hit that down arrow below, construction line, and then I'm going to start at 3, 2. Okay, and then I'm going to simply choose a point above the current position. Okay, and that's going to create a never-ending vertical line. Okay, hit the space bar, and then I'm going to create another one at 3, 2, and this one's going to be horizontal. Okay, space bar to end that one. And then next up, I'm going to turn snap off so I can move freely. Okay, now I'm going to choose offset, and I'm going to enter a distance of 2.875. 2.875. Enter in. I'm going to choose my vertical line, and then I'm going to click to the right of the current vertical line. Okay, so now I've got another construction line created. I'm going to do the same thing with the horizontal line at a different value. So it creates, click offset. I'm going to enter a value of 5.75. Select my horizontal line and choose above it. Okay, so now I've got the format, or the kind of the general outline of my drawing so far. I've modified my desktop to show the construction lines that we're going to create. Okay, so I've already done this base model here. There's my starting point. I offset 5.75 up to get this this construction line here. I also offset by 2.875 to get this construction line here. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is fill in my 1.625, 0.875, etc. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to continue offsetting, and my new offset distance is 0.875. Choose my right side line here. Okay, and then I'm going to repeat the command. Type in a new distance of 1.625. Choose my original again. And there's my next one. Okay, so I've got this line, this line, this line. All four of these vertical lines complete. Okay, so now I've got an offset of 2. Repeat the command again. Offset from the furthest right for 2. Again for 1.5. So you can see pretty quickly I can start laying out the groundwork for my next drawing. 5. Okay, and you might choose a different way to do it, but this works for me. Okay, so now I've got all 7 of my vertical lines done. Okay, next up, on to the horizontal ones. So offset 1, offset 4.5. There, got 1.75, got a couple of these ones. So from the top down, and then from the one I just created, another 1.75 offset. Okay, so there's all my construction lines. There we are. Okay. My next step is to actually start drawing the object. So you can see I've got a multi-view drawing here. We haven't really covered those yet. But essentially what it's doing is just showing the object from 2 different angles. Okay, that allows you to see the properties of the drawing a little bit more clearly. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to my object layer. Okay, I'm going to start creating a line in the bottom right corner. So there's all my object or construction lines that I created earlier. And I'm just going to make sure I haven't chosen construction line by accident. There we go. Okay, so line. Started the intersection. Okay, I'm going to go up to the very top. So you can see I can really quickly rip through drawing this object now that I have all these construction lines complete. Okay, and notice the weight of my lines are pretty similar. But if I turn on line weight, I can see the object in much more clear detail. Okay, just going to finish this one across here. Okay, next up, I'm going to go to my other object, or the other view of my same object, and start drawing this one in. Okay, so I'm going to go through, and this one's going to have an angle, but not quite the angle that's there. Okay, so now you can use this just drawing down below as a guide, or you can follow along with me for this part. Okay, so next up, a couple circles. Okay, it looks like I'm going to start down here. So this has a diameter. So I'm going to hit D for diameter and 0.65. I'll create the second circle with a diameter of 1.75, just off to the left of the last one. Okay, so D, 1.75 diameter. Okay. And then next up, I've got to create this arc. I made this drawing a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. But anyways, it doesn't really clearly indicate the radius of this circle. But over here, I've got a distance of 1.75 from the center point to the top. So that radius has to carry around all the way. Okay, so I'm going to use circle, or you can use arc if you want. So if you want to try start and radius, you can do that. Okay, so I'm going to start here, and then enter a radius of 1.75. And there's my completed arc. Okay, now next up, we don't have an actual dimension for this. Okay, but this is a 30-degree line off the 90-degree angle here. So I'm going to choose line. I'm going to choose the starting point, and then I'm going to go up here. So 90 plus 30, that gives me 120 degrees. Okay, I don't know what the exact distance is, so I'm just going to do, right now it's at 2.05, so I'll do 2. So I'm going to use I'm going to do 2 at an angle of 120. And then here I've got a bit of a gap. So what I'm going to do is extend. So I'm going to go over to my trim, change this to extend. Okay, and it says I'm going to select the object to extend, and automatically it's just going to preview extending over to that line. Okay. Now I can go back and switch back to trim, and then trim off this excess line piece here. Okay, so there's my object so far. I'm only missing the line at the bottom here, right across. Okay, so I've got all the lines associated with that object in these two viewports completed. My next step is to create hidden lines, and hidden lines are used to show in orientations that normally wouldn't show details, details that may be hidden from view, if that makes any sense. But anyways, next up, what I'm going to do is draw in a construction line from this point right here. Oops, I'm going to use an actual construction line. From this point right here on the horizontal plane. Okay, it doesn't matter where I click, as long as it's perpendicular to, at an angle of 0 degrees. Okay, same thing down below. Okay, and next up with this small circle, same idea. Okay, and now I've got some new lines that I can work with. So I'm going to represent this cutoff here with this line, the bottom of the circle, bottom of the small circle, top of the small circle, and top of the large circle with hidden lines. So I'll switch to my hidden lines layer, and then choose a regular line. Then I can draw them across just using spacebar and do it pretty quickly. Okay, I'm going to skip the center line because we're going to use a different type of line for that. So I should have 5 hidden lines across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Done. Okay. And then next up is my center line. Okay, so the center line, I'm going to draw from the center of this object right through these two circles. Okay, choose center lines. I've set center lines. Choose line. And then I'm going to draw a short center line between these 2 points here that represents the center of the circles. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in a bit. I'm going to click on this line. I'm just going to extend it out. It doesn't have to be a specific amount, as long as it extends through and shows the detail of my center. Let's do 3. Let's go for 3. There we go. Okay, so now you can kind of see how it's showing the center line patterning. Okay, and now I can turn off my construction lines to show the real detail of just the actual object. Okay, so now it looks a lot like my drawing over here. The final step of my drawing is to fillet. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my object lines layer. I'm going to choose fillet. R for radius, and then 0.5. Okay, so 0.5 radius. I'm going to cut that one out. I'm going to choose fillet once more with using spacebar. Radius of 0.25. Okay, and then I'm going to fillet these two together. I'll have to re-extend that. That's okay. Fillet this. Fillet my inside. And fillet the top. There we go. Okay, so this one I can extend back out. Alright, so now I have to end up drawing this one back in. There we go. I can manually extend it out. Perfect. Okay, so now I've got the completed object ready to go for dimensioning in the next part.